Do you hear that, Captain? It's
Singing. The words hung in the dim blue light of the command deck like frost in vacuum. Captain Elias Rane turned slowly toward the sensor officer, his jaw tightening. Beyond the glass canopy, the stars shimmered with an indifferent calm that mocked the sudden pulse echoing through the vigilant Dawn's hull. A low, melodic hum, not mechanical, not natural, it was deliberate. Lieutenant Mara Voss swallowed. It's broadcasting on every known frequency. Even the dead ones, sir. It's calling our name. Rainey's brow furrowed. Humanity's name? Yes, sir. Solborn. Children of flame. That's what it says. Silence pressed on them heavier than gravity. The hum deepened into a chorus that wasn't sound anymore but vibration. A presence inside their bones. Rane forced his voice steady. Record it. And lock down the comms. Nothing leaves this ship until we understand what we've just heard. But they already knew. Every human who'd ever stared into the void knew this was how it began. The kind of discovery that rewrote civilizations or buried them. Outside, the black stretched forever. Inside, the crew of the Vigilant Dawn began to feel time thinning, the way a breath fades before a storm. The bridge lights flickered once. Sir, Mara whispered. The Council warned us. The Veil sector was to remain off limits for a reason. The Council also said humanity wasn't ready to walk on Mars, or break. Lightspeed. Ronnie's voice carried the defiance of 1,000 explorers before him, and yet here we stand. He leaned forward, hands gripping the rail. We answer it. We trace the source. His second-in-command, Darius Holt, frowned. And if the signal wants us to? Ron gave a half-smile. Then it'll regret wanting. In the cold expanse, the Vigilant Dawn altered course toward the origin point. Sector Veil 9, an uncharted cluster where even light seemed hesitant to travel. The hum grew stronger. It started whispering, weaving words between tones, fragments of memories. Voices of lost loved ones, the sound of home. Crewmen stared into nothingness, tears running down faces they couldn't explain. It knows us, Mara breathed. Every one of us, the captain's voice hardened. Stay focused. It's trying to get inside our heads. But even as he spoke, a single thought gnawed at him. What if it already had? Hours later, the Vigilant Dawn arrived at the signal's source. A rift, a wound in the fabric of space itself. It pulsed like a heartbeat. The stars around it bent, light curving in reverence or fear. Darius stepped beside him. That's no natural phenomenon. It's built? Ronnie's reflection in the viewport looked older than it should. Built by what? Or who? Before they could answer, the comms flared alive. Static resolved into a voice, calm, ancient, patient. Solborn. Why have you come? The Council pleaded. You ignored. Mara's console crackled with power readings spiking beyond measure. It's pulling energy from our core. Cut engines, Rane barked. Eject the reactor. But it was too late. A wave of white light burst from the rift, enveloping the ship. For one agonizing second, every human aboard felt the voice inside their minds. You are not meant to find us yet. Humanity has reached its limit, and then silence. When Rane opened his eyes, there was no hum. No stars. Only darkness stretching forever. The systems were offline. The crew unconscious but alive. He rose shakily, breath fogging the stale air. Status report, he whispered. No answer. He turned toward the viewport and saw it. A colossal structure blacker than the void drifting before them. It was not a ship, not a planet, something in between, alive yet not. Symbols glowed faintly across its surface, forming patterns that hurt to look at. Rane's voice cracked. What did we just awaken? The comms sputtered. Mara's voice came faintly through the static, trembling. Captain, there's something moving inside that structure. It's watching us. The hum returned, this time from within the ship, deeper, hungrier. Rane exhaled slowly, the weight of dread and awe pressing on him. Then we make contact. Humanity doesn't bow. He looked into the abyss, the reflection of his own eyes flickering with defiance. Let them come. Beyond the glass, the structure opened, petal by impossible petal, and the void began to sing again. Captain Rane, it's speaking again. The voice came from Mara, hushed but sharp. Her trembling hands hovered over the console, pale under the flickering emergency lights. The ship was drifting now, propulsion offline, gravity failing in uneven pulses. Every creak of the hull sounded like the whisper of something listening. Rane straightened, adjusting the collar of his torn uniform as though command could still be worn like armor. "Put it on main audio." The air itself trembled. Then came that voice, deep, melodic, and terrifyingly calm. "You trespass beyond your design. Your kind was warned." The council spoke. Yet hunger drove you onward. The crew flinched. The vigilant dawn seemed to shudder in response, as if the ship itself recognized the voice. Darius scowled. "Who are you? Some kind of ancient civilization?" The voice almost seemed to smile. "We are the architects. We remember when light first touched your sun," Mara whispered. "Architects? From the Council's forbidden archives?" Rane didn't turn. His eyes were fixed on the colossal structure outside. "They're supposed to be extinct myths," the voice replied, echoing softly. "Myth is the scar reality leaves when memory fails." Outside, the vigilant dawn floated before the structure, a cathedral of impossible geometry. Its surface shifted between liquid and stone, as if space itself refused to decide its form. Thousands of circular glyphs rotated lazily, each pulse sending ripples through the surrounding vacuum. "Captain," Mara murmured, "readings are inconsistent. It's not made of matter as we understand it, and yet it's alive." Ron's gaze hardened. "Alive or not, it's communicating. That means it can be reasoned with," the voice answered as if amused. "You misunderstand. You do not reason with a storm. You survive it." Darius clenched his fists. "We've survived worse." But the voice was already fading, leaving only silence and then a single repeating phrase in the data stream. "Return the key." "Key?" Rane muttered. "What key?" Mara's hands flew across the hollow controls. "There's something embedded in the ship's memory banks. Encrypted at launch level. Looks like the data was added before our mission." "By who?" "By the Council." Ron's jaw tightened. The words tasted bitter. The Council had sworn this mission was reconnaissance, nothing more. Yet here they were, ensnared in something ancient. Something deliberate. "Show me." A hologram flickered into existence, a small crystalline construct rotating slowly, radiating faint blue light. "The Sol fragment," Mara read aloud from the metadata. "Prototype of unknown origin. Classified beyond top-tier clearance." Darius exhaled. The key, they knew. The Council knew what we'd find here. The captain's eyes narrowed. "No, Lieutenant. They sent us here to deliver it." The structure outside began to awaken. Rings of light unfolded across its vast body like an eye-opening. The hum grew louder, deeper, resonating through the crew's bones. "Energy surge," Mara shouted. "The structure's aligning its focus on us." Rane stepped forward, voice low but unwavering. "Then we give it what it wants." "Sir?" He picked up the holographic fragment, its glow reflecting in his determined eyes. "Open a transmission link," Mara hesitated. "If this is a trap, every discovery starts as one." The captain held up the fragment. "You want this key? Tell us what it unlocks." The voice returned, closer this time, no longer distant but surrounding them, inside their ears, their minds. "The key opens remembrance. A gate buried before your kind was born, but your hands were never meant to touch it." Rane's tone sharpened. "Then why did the Council hide it inside our ship?" The answer came with chilling certainty. "Because the Council fears what you might remember." A pulse of energy struck the vigilant dawn. Lights died. Gravity failed completely, and the crew floated helplessly as systems screamed warnings. Outside, space twisted, stars bending, horizons curling inward. Mara gasped, spinning toward the viewport. "Captain." The structure's opening again. "Something's coming out." Through the swirling void, shapes began to emerge. Vast, translucent forms like living constellations. Their movements were fluid, deliberate, ancient. Ron gritted his teeth. "Defensive systems online." "Sir, weapons are unresponsive. Everything's locked by the signal." Then one of the entities drifted close enough for its light to touch the glass. In that moment, the entire crew felt a rush of alien emotion, sorrow, memory, warning. Darius whispered, "They're not attacking us. They're pleading." Rane's pulse quickened. "For what?" The voice returned once more. A final whisper carried on trembling frequencies. "For you to stop remembering." And then the fragment in Rane's hand ignited. Blue light consumed the deck, and a scream, not human, not mechanical, ripped through the void. When the light faded, the structure was gone. So was the vigilant dawn signal. In the silence that followed, the council chambers on Earth received the final transmission. 7 words. The key is awake. We are not alone. The counselors exchanged grim looks. One finally whispered. They opened the gate. The room darkened as alarms began to sound. Humanity's arrogance had found its echo. The vigilant dawn drifted through silence so deep it seemed to swallow sound itself. Crew members hung in zero gravity, eyes wide, hearts hammering with adrenaline and fear. Every nerve screamed that they had crossed a line no human had been meant to touch. Captain Elias Rane floated to the center of the bridge, staring at the still glowing Sol fragment in his hands. It pulsed faintly, like a heartbeat in the void. What we've awakened is not just outside, he murmured. It's inside us. Mara Voss, pale and trembling, finally spoke. The voice, it spoke of remembrance, memories we never had, visions we weren't meant to see. Rane's gaze sharpened. Not memories, warnings, lessons buried before humanity existed. Darius Holt's voice cut through the quiet, brittle with tension. Captain, we need a plan. We're adrift. Systems offline. We can't outrun this. Rane exhaled, steadying himself. Then we face it. We understand it. That's what humans do. The fragment glowed brighter, and with a subtle vibration it unlocked a hidden pathway within the ship's systems. A holographic map unfolded, showing a network of corridors that did not exist in the Vigilant Dawn's schematics. Lines of glowing energy traced a path outward, extending past the hull and into the void. Mara leaned in, astonished. It's outside the ship? Or maybe everywhere? Rane's expression hardened. It's a bridge. A gate beneath memory, beneath reality itself. Beneath memory? Darius echoed. Yes, Rane said, turning the fragment over in his palm. The architect said humanity has reached its limit. Limits aren't walls. They're warnings. This gate, it's showing us everything we could become. Everything we could destroy. Before anyone could respond, the hum returned, soft but relentless, vibrating through the hull and their very bones. It was a voice without words, yet every crew member understood its meaning. Go forward, or be lost. Mara's fingers flew over the console. The fragment, it's forming a connection with the gate, but if we step through, we might not come back the same. Rane's gaze was unwavering. Then we step through. Humanity doesn't wait for permission. Darius hesitated. Are you sure? This could kill us? Rane interrupted. Or teach us something worth surviving. I choose the latter. The bridge lights flickered violently. The holographic pathway extended fully into the void, glowing like a river of starlight. Shapes shimmered along it, faint echoes of human history. Cities burned, ships lost, faces long forgotten. The crew recoiled, but Rane stepped forward, holding the fragment high. A voice, calmer now, almost reverent, filled the bridge. You are soul-born, children of flame. To walk through is to remember. To remember is to grow or perish. Mara's breath caught. It's offering knowledge, power, everything the council hid from us. Or a test, Darius muttered. Rane's eyes swept over his crew. Tests don't matter. Courage does. We are humanity. We do not cower at the edge of understanding. He pressed the fragment to the central console. Light erupted, bathing the bridge in blinding azure. The holographic corridor expanded outward, rippling, opening like a tunnel of living stars. Brace yourselves, Rane said, and the vigilant dawn was pulled forward. The sensation was unlike anything they'd ever known. Gravity folded, time slowed, and every human on board felt their thoughts splinter into thousands of possibilities. They saw their pasts, not just their own, but humanity's collective memory, achievements, failures, and horrors. Mara gasped as visions of Earth unfolded, rising seas, wars, extinct species. We caused all this. Not just us, Rane murmured. All of humanity. But we can still fix it. Darius gritted his teeth. And what if this gate doesn't let us fix it? What if it's punishment? The fragment pulsed in Rane's hand. Not punishment. Truth. A figure appeared at the end of the corridor, humanoid but luminous like starlight condensed into a body. Its eyes glimmered with infinite patience. You have reached the limit, it said, voice soft, echoing in thought. Few survive the remembrance. Few choose wisely. Rane took a step forward, fists clenched. We survive. We choose. Humanity doesn't bow. The figure extended a hand, and the corridor split into paths, each showing a different future, one of ruin, one of survival, one of unimaginable growth. Mara whispered, voice shaking. Which path do we take? Rane's gaze met each crew member's. The one we forge ourselves. A pulse of light shot through the ship, knocking them all into unconsciousness. And yet, in that darkness, the humans felt something new. Clarity, purpose, and a fire that refused to die. The gate had shown them the edge. Humanity had reached its limit, and beyond it lay both peril and glory. When they awoke, the vigilant dawn was back in familiar space, systems partially restored. But something had changed. The fragment no longer glowed. Its lessons were internal now, imprinted in the minds of the crew. Rane rose, eyes hard and bright. The council warned. We ignored. And now, we know the price of limits. Mara swallowed, trembling, but resolute. And what do we do with it? Humanity always does, Rane said. We move forward. We endure. We dominate, intelligently. The galaxy will remember us. Outside, the void stretched wide, silent yet alive. Somewhere beyond the stars, something waited, something patient, and humanity had just announced it would not be ignored. The bridge of the vigilant dawn hummed quietly, deceptively calm after the harrowing passage through the gate beneath memory. Systems were restored to partial functionality, but the air still carried a weight, one that pressed on the crew's chests like the universe itself was watching. Captain Elias Rane stood by the viewport, hands clasped behind his back. Beyond the glass, the stars seemed to flicker, not with distance but with intent. He could feel the subtle pulse, the same rhythm that had haunted them inside the gate. It whispered a warning. The architects were not gone. Mara Voss floated beside him, eyes wide and unblinking. Captain, the fragment, it's silent. But I can still feel its presence. It's like it's watching, waiting. Rane's lips pressed into a thin line. We were right to step through the gate. But that doesn't mean we survived unscathed. The architects, they've left more than lessons. Shadows linger. Darius Holt, nursing a cup of recycled water, scowled. Shadows? You mean ghosts? Worse, Rane said quietly. They are intelligence, predators of the mind, and now they know our limits. A sudden alert shattered the tension. Mara's console blinked red. Sir, energy readings, off the charts. Something's moving toward us. No, not toward, around us. It's cloaked in a quantum field. It's following our trajectory. Rane's jaw tightened. Shields up, scanners to full spectrum. I want every sensor reading, visible, infrared, psychic, everything. The bridge crew scrambled. Outside, the stars bent unnaturally, twisting as if reacting to an unseen hand. Mara's voice dropped to a whisper. It's shaping space itself. These aren't ships. They're constructs, living, thinking, moving shadows. Darius's knuckles whitened. You're telling me we're being stalked by space ghosts? Rane's eyes gleamed with a dangerous fire. Not ghosts, architects. And if they want to play, then humanity will show them why we survive every challenge. The first contact came without warning. A shadow detached from the void, enormous and incomprehensible, folding its mass like water. Its surface shimmered with impossible angles, catching starlight that shouldn't exist. It whispered inside the minds of the crew, a language of visions and memory. You were not meant to awaken us, it said, voice resonant with uncountable eons. Mara staggered, clutching her head. It's probing us. Memories, fears. It's inside our heads. Rane stepped forward, voice cutting through the psychic haze. We are human. We endure. We adapt. You cannot scare us into submission. The shadow recoiled slightly, like a predator surprised by defiance. Its mass rippled, and through it, fleeting glimpses of worlds and civilizations flashed. Some dead, some thriving. Darius muttered, It's showing us. Its victims? Yes, Rane said, and it's warning us. Or testing us. The line is thin, but we'll cross it. Hours passed as the shadows flitted around the vigilant dawn, probing, studying, but never attacking directly. The crew felt their minds stretch, memories blending, with knowledge from the fragment. A dangerous mix of insight and terror. Mara spoke softly, almost to herself. Captain, the architects, they're mirrors. They show you what you could become, or what you could destroy. Rane nodded, eyes narrowing at the viewport. Then we use it. We learn faster than it can probe. We adapt faster than it can calculate. That's what humanity does. We survive, we dominate, and we innovate. Darius shook his head. Or we die. The Council didn't warn us for nothing. Exactly, Rane said, voice low but firm. The Council feared this moment. They feared humanity reaching beyond its grasp. Well, we've grasped. Now we see what lies beyond. A sudden vibration rattled the ship. Systems flickered and alarms wailed. The shadow closest to them split into thousands of smaller fragments, each moving independently like a swarm of dark stars. Mara's voice was trembling but precise. They're coordinating, adapting to our maneuvers. They can predict our movements almost instantly. Rane slammed his fist into the console. Then we'll think faster. Every decision counts. Humanity thrives in chaos. We'll exploit it. The vigilant dawn twisted and turned, engines straining, dodging the swarm. Pulses of energy streaked across the void, reflecting off the hull, illuminating the impossibly complex forms of the architect's shadows. Darius gasped. They're learning from us and adapting. This isn't a fight, it's evolution in motion. Rane's eyes burned with resolve. Then we evolve faster. If they want to see limits, we'll show them human will. As the shadows receded slightly, a calm settled over the bridge. But the crew knew this was only temporary. The architects were patient, immortal, and infinitely cunning. Rane looked at the fragment now inert in his hand. We've glimpsed their power. We've survived the first test, but this is only the beginning. Mara swallowed hard. And what do we do now? Rane's voice was quiet, steady, and unwavering. We prepare. Humanity doesn't flee from shadows. We hunt them. We understand them. And when the time comes, we will strike with everything we are. Outside, the void shifted once more. The shadows lingered, watching, waiting, and humanity had just made its first claim in the game of immortals. The vigilant dawn drifted in silence, but the calm was brittle, like ice over a churning ocean. Captain Elias Rane stood in the center of the bridge, eyes fixed on the stars outside, yet seeing far more than the human eye could comprehend. The architect's shadows lingered at the edge of perception, their presence a constant hum inside the crew's minds. Mara Voss floated nearby, her hands trembling slightly as she ran diagnostics. Captain, the fragment is no longer glowing, but its influence, it's everywhere. In us, in the ship. I can feel memories that aren't mine, visions of what humanity could be. And what it has done. Rane nodded slowly. That's why the architects are here. They're not just watching. They're probing the soul of humanity. And if we falter, we lose more than life. We lose our identity. Darius Holt's voice broke the quiet. I don't know how much more I can take. Every time I close my eyes, I see cities burning, stars collapsing, people dying before they even existed. Rane stepped closer. That's the point, Darius. They want us to see the consequences. Every choice, every misstep humanity has ever made, compressed into memory and warning. They're testing our resilience, The ship's sensors, strained from the previous encounters, detected fluctuations in the void outside. The shadows moved again, weaving through space like rivers of darkness. Yet now something changed. They weren't merely observing, they were communicating. A soft vibration coursed through the hull, and then a voice, not from any speaker, not through any comm channel, spoke directly into their minds. "You carry the weight of your kind," it said. "Yet memory is fractured. You see but pieces, never the whole. Can humanity endure the truth of itself?" Mara gasped, clutching her head. "It's showing us history, unfiltered. Our triumphs, yes, but the horrors, the greed, the betrayals. All of it." Rane's jaw clenched. "Then we face it. We have survived worse. Humanity has always clawed its way from darkness into light." Darius shook his head. "And if we fail? If the fragments of memory break us instead, then we rebuild," Rane said, voice firm. "That is what humans do. That is who we are." As they floated through the void, the bridge became a theater of visions. Mara screamed as she saw a planet consumed by war. Darius whispered in terror at the sight of a dying star he had never studied. And Rane saw the thread connecting every human endeavor: discovery, rebellion, love, destruction. The fragment pulsed faintly in his hand, echoing the rhythm of the universe. And then, faintly, a new pattern emerged, an invitation. The shadows had left a path, faint but clear, threading through the void like veins of light. It was a map, not to a place, but to understanding. Mara's eyes widened. "It's leading us somewhere. Or to something." Rane's gaze hardened. "The architects want us to remember fully, to understand. The path isn't safe. It never is. But if we don't follow it, we risk becoming prey instead of survivors." Darius exhaled, tension cracking his voice. "Captain, we're still learning. The memory is heavy, too heavy for anyone." Rane's eyes met his. "Darius, humanity is never given ease. We endure weight because endurance makes us stronger. That's the limit the Council warned us we would reach, and now we've reached it." They followed the path, and the vision sharpened. They saw civilizations rise and fall, stars birthing life only to snuff it out. Yet amidst the chaos, one truth emerged: humans were different. Not because they were strongest, fastest, or smartest, but because they refused to surrender. Every failure was a lesson, every loss a spark. The shadows lingered close, testing them, pushing at the edges of their minds. Rane's thoughts wove into a shield of determination, a human will that refused to break. "They want fear," he said aloud. "We give them courage. They want despair. We give them hope." Mara's fingers hovered over the fragment. "Captain, it's responding. It's acknowledging us. Not as intruders, but as something more." Rane smiled faintly, a spark of defiance lighting his face. "Exactly. Humanity doesn't bow to limits. And we never will. Not to shadows, not to warnings, not even to the architects themselves." As they approached the end of the path, the void shifted again. Shapes emerged, not shadows this time, but structures. Gigantic, geometric, impossible. They seemed to pulse with memory itself, each one a fragment of the universe's story intertwined with humanity's potential. The voice returned, more resonant, almost approving. "Few survive the fractured memory. Fewer still understand it. You have the first spark." Rane tightened his grip on the fragment. "Then we keep the spark alive. Humanity thrives on what others fear. We endure, we adapt, we rise." Outside, the void shimmered. The shadows paused, coiling around the structures, observing. Humanity had survived the memory test. For now. But as the vigilant dawn pressed onward deeper into the architect's domain, one unspoken truth lingered. The greatest trials were yet to come, and humanity's spirit, their defiance, their arrogance, their ingenuity, would be tested like never before. The vigilant dawn moved cautiously through the void, threading a path along the structures the shadows had revealed. Each geometric monolith radiated memory, knowledge, and power. Their surfaces shimmered with light that was not reflected but alive, bending perception and pulling at the crew's minds. Captain Elias Rane floated in the center of the bridge, eyes narrowed. "Stay focused," he said. "The architects are testing more than our courage now. They're testing our judgment." Mara Voss shivered, her hands hovering over the consoles. "I can feel it, Captain. It's inside the ship, inside us. Every decision we make is being observed, recorded, judged." Darius Holt's voice trembled. "What if we fail? What if they decide humanity isn't ready?" Rane's jaw tightened.
Then we don't fail.
Humanity doesn't fail. We survive, we adapt, and we fight for every step forward. That's what makes us human. The first challenge came suddenly. The void around the vigilant dawn shimmered, and the monoliths began to rearrange themselves. The ship found itself in a corridor of impossible angles, walls bending and folding as though reality itself were a puzzle to solve. Mara's eyes widened. This isn't just a path, it's a test of perception. If we miscalculate, we'll be lost in the void forever. Rane's hands gripped the railing. Then we calculate differently. We think like humans, not like machines. Instinct, intuition, courage, those are our weapons. The ship twisted, engines thrumming as they navigated through corridors that shifted with each decision. Shadows lingered just outside the viewport, silent observers watching for hesitation. Darius muttered, "It's like the void itself is alive, and it's judging us." Rainey's eyes flashed. Then we teach it what humanity is capable of. As they progressed, the voices returned, not one but many overlapping, a chorus of the architect's consciousness. "You carry the spark of your kind," they whispered. "Yet the spark alone does not prove worthiness. Resolve is tested by adversity, judgment by restraint, will by sacrifice." Mara's voice was tight. "Sacrifice what? What do they want from us?" Rane's expression was grim. "They want proof that we are ready to bear the weight of knowledge, the burden of power, without destroying ourselves, or the galaxy." The fragment pulsed in his hand. It seemed to respond to the architect's voice, glowing faintly brighter as if signaling that the human's defiance and focus were noted. The second challenge arrived as the corridor widened into a chamber of shifting light. Dozens of translucent forms emerged, each resembling a human, but distorted, fragmented, each embodying fears, regrets, or suppressed instincts. Darius's voice shook. "Are those us?" Rane's gaze hardened. Their possibilities. The architect's way of testing who we are, who we could be if we fail this trial. Mara swallowed, voice barely audible. We have to confront them?" Rane's lips curved in a faint, defiant smile. "Yes, and we face ourselves unflinching. That's what humanity does. We never run from the truth, no matter how terrible." Each crew member locked eyes with their distorted reflections. Fear, guilt, regret, and anger surged through their minds, threatening to overwhelm them. But Ronnie's voice anchored them. "We endure. We survive. We choose humanity, not surrender." One by one, the translucent forms wavered and vanished, leaving only the glow of the architect's structures. Finally, the last trial began. A vast chamber opened, filled with stars that were not stars, planets that had never existed, and civilizations that might have been. The fragment pulsed, and the architect's chorus spoke clearly. "Show us creation. Show us ingenuity. Show us that your kind deserves the spark." Rane looked at his crew. "We've survived memory, shadows, fear. Now we act, not react. Humanity doesn't wait for permission. We create. We dominate. We endure." They coordinated, using the ship's remaining systems to manipulate the energy of the chamber. Every decision was instinct, calculation, and intuition combined. Light responded, forming structures, creating simulations, crafting solutions that demonstrated humanity's ingenuity. The architects watched. The shadows circled. The void pulsed in rhythm with the humans' actions. Then came silence. The stars in the chamber steadied. The monoliths ceased shifting. The chorus of voices faded, leaving only a single calm resonance. "You have shown the spark. You have endured memory, shadows, and the weight of your kind. Few would survive. Fewer would rise with purpose." Ron exhaled slowly. "Then humanity endures, and we never stop rising." The fragment dimmed and stilled. Outside the vigilant dawn, the void returned to normal, or as normal as it could be after contact with the architects. Mara touched Rane's arm. "Captain, did we pass?" Rane's eyes reflected starlight. "We did more than pass. We showed them what it means to be human. But the architects are patient. They will wait, and we will be ready." Darius exhaled, voice rough but relieved. "Then we've survived their challenge. For now." Rane's gaze turned outward. "For now," he echoed. "But survival is just the beginning. Humanity's limit has been tested, and we've set a new one." Outside the viewport, the void seemed to pulse faintly like the slow beat of a heart. And somewhere beyond sight, the architects waited, patient, immortal, watching the humans who dared defy limits. The vigilant dawn floated in the still void, its hull reflecting faint starlight. The crew was exhausted, physically drained, mentally stretched to limits they had never known. But the fire in their eyes burned brighter than ever. Humanity had survived the Architect's challenges. Humanity had endured memory, shadows, and tests of will. Captain Elias Rane stood at the viewport, hands clasped behind him, voice low but steady. We've been given knowledge few beings could survive. But the true test isn't endurance. It's what we do with it. Mara Voss glanced at him, her eyes reflecting the stars beyond. The fragment. It's quiet now. The Architects aren't speaking. Are they satisfied? Rane shook his head. Satisfied is a word for mortals. The Architects are patient. They watch, they learn, they wait. But we act. That is humanity. Darius Holt rubbed his temples, still haunted by the visions from the gate. Captain, we've seen what humanity could destroy. What if we fail the next time? Or the one after? Rane's gaze hardened, resolute.
Then we remember what we've endured.
We remember the limits we've surpassed, and we rise again. Humanity doesn't bow to fear, Darius. We dominate it, we master it, and we keep moving forward. The void shifted suddenly and the shadows appeared again. But this time they did not attack. They circled, vast and patient, silent as judgment itself. The crew felt the pull of the Architect's presence, but there was no fear, only recognition. You have survived the trials, a deep resonance echoed inside their minds. Few would rise after the gate. Fewer would understand their purpose. You have proven worthiness, but the spark alone does not grant dominion. Action does, Mara whispered. They're letting us go. For now. Rane's hand tightened around the now dormant soul fragment. We've survived. But survival is meaningless without purpose. Humanity's reckoning is not in obedience, it is in action, in creation, in defiance of limits. Darius exhaled slowly, finally letting some tension leave him. So, we go back? Report to the council? Report? Rane's lips curved into a faint, confident smile. We don't report, we lead. Humanity has been tested. Humanity has endured. The galaxy will remember us not as pawns, but as conquerors of limits. The vigilant dawn charted a course back to known space, systems slowly coming online. The crew worked in silent synchrony, minds sharpened by experience, strengthened by trial. The fragment remained inert, yet its lessons were indelibly etched into their consciousness. Rane moved among the crew, eyes meeting each one's, sharing a silent acknowledgement of what they had endured together. The council may have feared what we'd discover, but fear has never stopped humanity. Limits exist to be challenged, boundaries to be pushed, and now, we know how far we can go. Mara glanced at the fragment one last time, a faint glow reflecting in her eyes. Do you think the Architects will come back? Rane's voice was unwavering. If they do, we'll be ready. Humanity doesn't wait for permission. Humanity doesn't hide. We face what comes and we endure. That is our strength. That is our spirit. That is our reckoning. As the stars stretched into familiar constellations, a faint pulse rippled through the void. The shadows lingered at the edges of perception, silent witnesses to human resilience. The captain's voice broke the quiet. Humanity reached its limit, and we did not break. We surpassed it. Every trial, every shadow, every fragment of memory, it has forged us stronger, and we will carry that strength forward, into every star, every world, every unknown. Darius, still shaken, managed a wry smile. We've been through hell, and yet I feel unstoppable. Rane looked out at the stars, eyes reflecting defiance, hope, and determination. Good, that feeling. That is humanity. That is why we survive. That is why we endure. That is why we will never be ignored. Mara nodded, voice soft but certain. Then let the galaxy come. We're ready. And for the first time since leaving Earth, the crew of the Vigilant Dawn smiled with unshakable certainty. Humanity had reached its limit, and it had chosen not only to survive but to rise. Outside, the void remained infinite, patient, and silent. But humanity had awakened something far greater than fear. Humanity had awakened its own indomitable spirit. The reckoning had come, and humanity had answered.